Hello there and welcome to Preparing for Legion. In this series of 10 videos we're going to discuss how you can prepare for the launch of Legion, be it things you can do right now, or information about the various systems you'll be interacting with upon launch. Hopefully, these will help you prepare for the next expansion. In this video we're going to discuss the first raid in Legion. Now raiding is a big part of World of Warcraft's endgame, so let's go over what you can do to prepare yourself for the grand opening of Legion's first raid, the Emerald Nightmare. As with the Professions video, there may be a little bit of stock footage here and there. But first, a quick note about release schedules. So, when Legion launches, all dungeons will be available right off the bat, but only on normal and heroic. The mythic version of dungeons will be available after the first reset, a week later, I think. Honestly, it's worded a little ambiguously. I'm assuming it's going to be 1 week. If not, great! The Emerald Nightmare will be available 3 weeks after launch, on September 20th. On the same day, Mythic Dungeon Keystones will start dropping, which will allow you to do timed Mythic Dungeons with higher challenges for better loot. The week after, on September 27th, Mythic difficulty for the Emerald Nightmare will open, and the first wing of Raid Finder Emerald Nightmare will become available. Then, 2 weeks after that, on October the 11th, the second wing of Raid Finder will open, and 2 weeks after that, on October the 25th, the third wing will open up. Alright, so you have 3 weeks to prepare yourself for raiding once Legion launches on August the 30th. So, what do you need to do? Well, you need to prepare your artifact weapon, your gear, your gems and enchants, your consumables, and your knowledge. So let's go over this one step at a time. Starting with your artifact weapon. You want this to be as effective as possible for your first raid, so start empowering your main specs artifact weapon as much as you can. If you want more information about how this works, make sure to check out my Preparing for Your Artifact Weapon video. You'll generally want to try and hit your first golden trait before the raids open up, and more than that if possible. Once you've hit your first golden trait on your main spec weapon, if you know you'll be using an off-spec in raiding, like if you're a pure DPS class or a hybrid skilled in 2 roles, try to reach a golden trait on both of your weapons. Going for progression on more than 2 artifact weapons at an early stage will likely not be worth it. Make sure you have an idea for how you want your traits to work, what kind of path you want to take, and get as high item level relics in your main spec weapon as you can. So, that's your artifact. Now for the rest of your gear. Your goal here is to reach about item level 850 before the Emerald Nightmare opens up. Just remember that gear changes stats. All primary pieces of gear, so helm, shoulders, cloak, chest piece, bracers, gloves, belt, leggings, and boots will change their primary stats dependent upon your specialization. So if a balanced druid were to wear leather gear, they would gain intellect, whereas a demon hunter would gain agility. Also important to note is that necklaces and rings no longer come with any primary stats other than stamina, opening up your pool of loot even more. When a piece of gear drops, it has a chance to be Titan Forged, increasing its item level and statistics. This bonus can occur multiple times, meaning that you can get some extremely powerful pieces of loot from doing simple tasks. Remember though that the baseline item level of your gear and the chance it has to be Titan Forged to higher degrees will be greater if you're doing more challenging content like mythic dungeons and raids. There are a ton of sources for gearing up. Let's go over them. As you level up, you'll be granted rewards that will start pushing you towards item level 800. At level 110, quests will grant item level 800 loot, with the occasional piece of item level 825 gear coming from harder quest chains in Suramar, the maximum level zone. Normal dungeons at level 110 will drop item level 810 gear. This, unfortunately, isn't going to be a good source of gear for you, so if you can, skip this step by going into heroic dungeons for better loot, using a pre-made group and just running to the dungeon entrance rather than using the looking for group system. You may also get random drops that will be around item level 810. Unless they're Titan Forged or they come with sockets and great stats, they're not really worth buying or farming for. Dailies. These scale with your item level, so the higher your item level is, the better rewards you're going to get. They start at around item level 805, and the maximum item level reward is around 835, which naturally can be Titan Forged. You can also get relics from these dailies, which will be important for your artifact weapon. Mythic dungeons are another source of gear. There are 10 of them, they have a weekly reset, the gear they drop can be Titan Forged and socketed, and they will start at item level 840. Note that the Archway and Court of Stars dungeons are both mythic only and need to be unlocked through small quest chains in Suramar. You'll want to do every mythic dungeon at least once a week to get chances at gear there. Your Class Hall set. This is a set of gear that you can purchase from a quartermaster in your class hall, and their rewards from various quests reputations, and achievements. It's an 8-piece set with bonuses, and they can be upgraded with class order hall resources and reputation requirements to item level 840. Reputation gear is up next. Each faction in Legion has item level 820 and item level 850 items as rewards for reputation. Generally, these aren't going to be a huge source of gear, but they may aid you with a particular piece of gear, especially if the stats are good for you. Crafted gear is a big one. This stuff starts at item level 815 and can be upgraded with Obliterum, as discussed in the Preparing Your Professions video, up to item level 850. This is going to be a big source of gear for you in the first raid, so do what you can to get and upgrade your gear in this regard. Remember, there are no limits to how much crafted gear you can equip in Legion. World bosses. This is another big one. Before raids are opened, world bosses are going to drop item level 850 loot, which will later become item level 860 after the raids open up. There are 11 of these world bosses, one of which will be available each week. You want to do this once a week, basically. Find pugs or work with your guild or friends to get this done. This is vital. Finally, legendaries. These have a large variety of sources. Daily chests, Mythic Plus chests from your class hall, PvP chests, normal, heroic, and mythic dungeons, world bosses, and all raid difficulties, including looking for raid. These do not, however, drop from mobs, including dungeon and raid trash, quests of any kind, nor are they granted by reputation rewards, vendors, professions, rare spawns, or treasure chests. A legendary item is item level 895 and will drop for your currently selected loot specialization. They cannot be traded or disenchanted, and it's likely that you'll encounter at least one of these if you're playing the game a good amount. You can only equip one for the time being. After you upgrade your class hall, you'll increase that number to 2, but this upgrade is going to take at least 45 days to do, so you're only going to have one for the first raid. They work in dungeons and in raids, but not in battlegrounds or arenas. Farming these is important, so here are a few pieces of advice. First, check your loot specialization. You don't want the wrong kind of legendary to drop. Secondly, check out what legendaries are available to you using the dungeon journal and get an idea of which one you want the most. Thirdly, make sure you do everything. World quests, dailies, dungeons, the whole lot. But most legendary drops tend to come from daily chests. Never, ever miss out on world bosses or mythic dungeons, ever. If you want to power grind for these legendaries, just spam heroic dungeons over and over using the looking for group system. So let's put that all together. What is a typical day in these first 3 weeks going to look like? What are your goals? Right, so before the raids open, you want to be level 110, naturally. You'll want to have done as much of your class hall campaign as possible to unlock your third relic slot. You want to have all quests in Suramar completed. You want to have done all Profession and Obliterum Forge quest chains, so that everything is fully unlocked. And you want to have an item level of at least 840, but ideally 850. Every week, you'll want to get all of your bonus roll items. Buy these from Archmage Landerlock near the Violet Hold once you reach level 110. You can get 3 of these a week, and they'll cost either order hall resources or gold. Try to stick to gold if you can afford it. You're going to need your resources for other things early on. These bonus rolls work on mythic dungeons, world bosses, and raids. Your next priority is to kill the world boss for the week and bonus roll to try and get as much gear from them as you can. After that, your goal is to run 10 mythic dungeons. Remember that the Archway and Court of Stars require quest chains to unlock, and the Violet Hold will offer multiple bosses, so consider running that one more than once, maybe 2 or 3 times. Next up, do the Nightfall and Training quest as much as you can. This will offer reputation and lots of artifact power, but can only be done once every 3 days. This one is in Suramar. Those are your weekly goals. Your daily goals are: keep your artifact research and class hall talent work orders rolling. If you don't have enough resources to do this, go do some world quests, including emissary quests. Don't skip out on even a single day of getting artifact research and class hall talent work orders rolling. This is vital. Do daily quests for a loot reward chest. This will require you do 4 daily quests in a specific zone. Do every random heroic dungeon for the day, assuming your item level is high enough. If not, gear up some more through crafted pieces and other sources as discussed earlier. Do every daily in Suramar. Your goal here is to reach Revered with a Nightfallen. After that, do as many dailies as you want. They can award artifact power, item rewards that have high item level, order resources, profession dailies, and reputation rewards for the wardens. Daily quests that don't offer any of this you can kind of save for last, since they're not going to help you get geared up for raiding. If you've done all of this, then feel free to just run random heroics for Blood of Sargeras and artifact power using the Looking for Group tool. So that's your gear. Now your consumables. This one's fortunately much shorter. You'll want to get flasks, potions, food, and potentially Vantus runes. I can't tell you what to look for when it comes to flasks, potions, and food since they differ for every class, but remember to get this sorted before the Emerald Nightmare unlocks. Vantus runes can be used only once a week, offering an increase of versatility against a specific boss for the entire week. Use these when your guild is stuck against a certain boss, and having a variety of them available for your first run will likely be helpful. Finally, knowledge. This is absolutely vital to your success. You can have all the gear and consumables that you want, but if you die in a fire, then none of that matters. Research. That's all I can suggest to you. Research. Look up boss guides on Icy Veins, the FatbossTV YouTube channel, Wowhead, the Dungeon Journal, and as many other sources as you possibly can. I'll link all of those in the description. This knowledge is going to be the difference between death and success, so once Legion hits, keep an eye open for these kinds of guides. They're going to help you significantly. If you want all of this in loads of detail, I've linked Medivh's 7.0 Legion Raiders Lexicon in the description, which covers just about everything you'll need to get yourself raid ready in tons of great detail, so give it a read. Pretty much all of the information that I've just gone over comes from there, and I just kind of edited it to make it sound nice in a script, so definitely give that a read if you want to go into super detail regarding all this stuff. That will conclude this guide. Next time we'll discuss your survival kit. It's a bit strange, but if you've got the time off, you're likely going to be playing Legion pretty hard, so we'll discuss how you can best do that without, becoming one of those insane news articles about how someone let their house burn down because they were too busy playing World of Warcraft. Don't do that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful. If you have any questions, thoughts, comments, or suggestions, you can contact me using the links in the description, or you can just leave a comment. If you want to help support the channel, there's a link to my Patreon page in the description as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in the World of Warcraft.